Let's go ahead and let's spawn our other items here. All right, so let's go and let's add in a function. We'll call this spawn projectile. And within here, we'll spawn a projectile. So we'll say projectile is equal to sk sprite node, and we'll add in a color here. For now, we'll say off white color, and the size will be projectile size. And we're also adding the projectile dot size is equal to projectile size. Just in case we want to set it as an image later, we won't need to set the size. All right, so we got the projectile here. We also need a projectile dot position is equal to CG point. We always need to set up a CG point with the position. And with the projectile here, we need to set it to bracket player dot position dot x, and outside the bracket we need to add an exclamation point, and we're going to do the same thing here, player dot position. In fact, let me show you why we're doing that. Player dot position dot y. Now this would have worked, except for it's asking you, it says value of optional type CG float not unwrap. Did you mean to use the exclamation point or the question mark? So we need to unwrap it there. All right. So there's no shame in typing out something simple and having Xcode fix it for you. I think it's a speed thing personally. Typing in player.position.x is a lot faster than typing out the brackets and the exclamation points, etc. So hopefully they keep that. It's a feature I really like. All right, now we need to add in our physics. So we're going to say projectile dot physics body is equal to sk physics body. All right, and there we go. And we're going to say rectangular size projectile dot size. Okay, and again, it doesn't like that, so you need to make sure that you add in that extra bit here. And you can see that that was a lot quicker than to type out the brackets. It's up to you which one you want to do. All right, we'll do physics body dot affected by gravity is equal to false, and then we're going to go to projectile dot allows rotation, or dot physics body dot allows rotation is equal to false, and we're going to go to projectile dot physics body dot category bit mask is equal to physics category dot projectile dot physics body dot contact test bit mask is equal to physics category dot enemy. All right, we're also going to add in a couple of other items here. We're going to say projectile dot physics body dot dynamic is equal to false. We're going to say projectile dot name is equal to projectile name, just in case we want to add that in later. Sometimes you use the name, sometimes you do not use the name. I think it's a good habit to put it in there. Just after coding a lot of games in SpriteKit, what ends up happening is that you end up needing it in a different instance and you have to go back. So it's kind of better to set everything up here, but sometimes you can't get everything on the first go. Let's add in another projectile dot z position is equal to -1. So what this means is that the z position is now equal to -1. So we're going to put this behind all the other actors. Think of all these numbers here as sheets of paper. 0 is the main sheet of paper, and if you put it at -1, you'd put a sheet of paper under that, and you wouldn't be able to see it anymore. So this way the projectile is spawning below the player. All right. So on top of that, what we're going to do is we're going to say we have our z position here. We need to go to self.addChild, and we're going to say projectile exclamation point. All right, now we're not going to spawn the projectile on start because we're going to set up a timer to do so, but we're also going to add in another function, and while we're adding in items here, we'll call this spawn enemy, and we will pretty much do the exact same thing. So this will go a little bit quicker. Enemy is equal to sk sprite node, and we'll make that equal to, just for now, off-white color. And the size will be enemy size. We're going to go to enemy dot size is equal to enemy size. And we're going to say enemy dot position. And then this is where things get a little bit tricky. We need to add in a random, which is kind of neat. So let's go do that. Let's add in a var. We'll call this random x. Make that equal to int arc for random underscore uniform. And we're going to make this a value here. And this is going to be somewhere along the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that it's going to be between 500 and 300. So we might need to go change that later. But for now, we'll just say it's 500 plus 300. So it's a value between 300 and 500, and it will spawn the enemy. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say position is equal to CG point. Okay, and we're going to say the x is random x, and the y is going to be somewhere up at the top. So where would we do this here? So the y could be something like 1,000. Now 1,000 is going to be way up above. So if I pull up the simulator here, it's going to be way up above the top here, so we won't see it spawn. Now why do we need to set up a variable here? Well, every time you spawn the enemy, it's going to spawn it at a random x coordinate. And remember, x is a cross. Let's set up our physics body here. So we'll say enemy dot physics body is equal to sk physics body. And we'll say that this is rectangle of size. We're going to go to enemy dot size. And we might as well, since it's going to ask us, we'll go enemy dot size, right? Enemy dot size. And we'll add that in here, just like that. All right, and we'll go to enemy dot physics body dot affected by gravity is equal to false. Enemy dot physics body dot. So we have dot affected by gravity. We also have allows rotation is equal to false. Then we're going to enemy dot physics body dot category bit mask is equal to physics category dot enemy dot physics body dot contact bit mask is equal to physics category dot, and then we're going to say projectile because that's what's colliding with it. Let's go to enemy dot physics body dot dynamic is equal to and I believe this one you have to actually make equal to true. Yes, you do have to make this equal to true. Okay, and we're going to go to enemy dot name is equal to enemy name, and then we're going to say and we don't need to add in a z position here. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to self dot add child, and we're going to say that we're going to add in the enemy exclamation point. Okay, let's go ahead, let's add in the stars here. So we'll add a function, we'll call this spawn stars, or spawn star, because we will add in timers to actually spawn the stars. And what we'll do is with this, the stars will be, we'll say star is equal to sk sprite node, and we'll give it the off-white color as well as the star size. And we'll set star dot size is equal to star size, just in case we want to add in our own star here. But for this, we probably won't. We can, but we don't have to. Star dot size here, and here you're seeing that there's a couple of errors, and there's a good reason for that. If we go up to the top here, we never actually set a value of star size. So let's go and let's add in our star size here. So we'll say this var random size is equal to int arc for random underscore uniform, and we'll make this we'll make it pretty small. We'll make it between 2, well, maybe 5. See, 5's a bit too big. So between 2 and 4. Okay, remember the second number is the bottom here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to star size is equal to CG size. And we will say that it is a random size. Okay. And you can see here that we got star size is equal to the CG size here. And what's going to happen is this random size here, and let's just take a look at this. It says cannot assign CG size to its type CG point here. And the other thing you can do is if we type in, for example, 4 and let's just take a look at that up here. It says here that it is a CG point. This should be CG size. CG size. There we go. And that's what the problem was. So let's go back down here. And we will add that back in. We'll say this is random size. Just like that. So we got random size, and we need to insert the exclamation points here. So we now set it to a random size, and this is actually really cool because it will give the effect that the size is different. So there's stars of different backgrounds here, and it's also saying that since we're not using it, let's add an let because we're not changing it. Okay, so we got the star size, and then we need a position here. So we can actually go ahead and copy this random x here and paste it here. Maybe make it a constant here, and we'll say star dot position is equal to CG point dot x and y. We're going to say that the x is random x and the y is 1000. That way it'll be somewhere up at the top. All right, let's also add in a self dot add child and we'll make that equal to star, and that way will work here. And also let's delete our extraneous items here. So let's just take a look at this. So what we've done here is we've spawned our player, our projectile, our enemy, and our star here. Now we also need to add in timers to this, but in the next tutorial we'll add in the labels. I'll show you how to do that in the next tutorial.